Hello everybody, this is the Strict Monk saying hello to everybody out there. Today I want to talk a little bit about, in continuation of a video I just did not long ago, on the things one as a homeless has to put up with while on the street. There's this an area that's very personal for me because I went through a lot of this in the beginning and through most of my time on the street. Learned to cope with it a little bit better. Times are at times get good, so I'm able not to go through severe or serious moments that I'm going to talk about today. Um, One of the most serious things one's experiences on the street to me was dehydration, hunger, and most of all, most important, or most difficult was the lack of sleep. Oh, you don't know the importance of sleep until you're out here. I've been chased around almost on a regular basis. At nighttime, you get turned in by people in neighborhood watch programs. They call the police. They chase you out of their neighborhoods. A lot of times you're dehydrated and exhausted. You find yourself trying to find a place where you could rest your weary little head. And like I said, the most difficult part of being on the street is the lack of sleep. There were, for many years, I would only get 2-3 hours of sleep. And if I was lucky, I'd get 4, maybe 5. Finding a place to sleep out here can be pretty busy. You have a lot of people looking for the same spot that you are, and sometimes it's a matter of who's going to give in to that spot or not. So if you're lucky, you're able to stay at that spot for weeks on end. Better yet, if it's months. But most time it doesn't last that long because you get turned in. Police will come over, kick you out, ask you to leave, evict you, and stuff like that. And so you have to get up, take all your belongings, and move around again. A lot of times they will follow you, and sometimes they will stop you again. But once they ask you to leave that one spot, they usually are pretty good to leave it alone. Hold on, let's see. When you're in a dehydrated state where you lack sleep and you're hungry, all the time you probably won't be surprised, but it does change your mind. For somehow you become kind of more mentally unstable because you're exhausted, your mind's exhausted, you're not feeding it well, you're tired. And what I found at the worst point in times of exhaustion and lack of sleep is that my mind seems to go a little bit. Get a little bit confused, a little anxious, more anxious, maybe even a little paranoid. But I do notice that change, and there's no way I can control it. It's just the body's response to all the stressors that are out here in the street. Sometimes I spend days and nights out there strolling around looking for a place to sleep. Then I find a place and I get kicked out by concerned citizens, over by the police. So I keep going through the night looking for a place. And sometimes, like I said, if I'm lucky, I get 2 hours of sleep. So anyways, that is one of the challenges, extreme challenges one faces out here, is how it affects your mental alertness, affects your your morality at times. You know, I like to be moral and everything, and boy, that really plays a number on it. You lack strength in a lot of things that we take for granted, and this, you start lacking a little bit of a moral strength. But like I said, it's really not one doesn't have control of oneself at that point. So, but I managed to get by really well, thanks be to God. You know, even in my times of exhaustion, dehydration, lack of sleep, insomnia, and everything, I managed to push on forward. You know, and I think that's one of the most critical, one of the hardest things to experience for me out in the street. Heat affects you during the day, cold affects you during the day, but I've been blessed in that since I'm in one with nature, you know, I don't get sick well. I don't get sick often, I should say. I do get allergies because I'm around trees all the time, winds are blowing, but not even that severe. But that's as worst as I get, thanks be to God. One time I was kind of food poisoned by a friend of mine, supposedly a friend. I was, one night, he had given me a bag, and I had eaten what appeared to be a granola bar, chocolate covered one, and I got hungry that night, opened it up, started eating it. Halfway through the bar, taste was just horrible. Stomach was gurgling a lot, and just decided to toss it out. I was sick, extremely sick, with this food poisoning, salmonella poisoning, fever of 107, 108, probably 110. It was just miserable. I was miserable, and I was thrown out in front of a library for 2-3 days with Montezuma's revenge, dehydration, thirst. But I just wanted to sleep. People say, why didn't you just go to the hospital? And, you know, that was the last thing in my mind. Didn't cross my mind. It was just surviving. So that's one of my worst experience out here. Was that food poisoning. A lot of well-meaning people give you a lot of food. We always have to be very careful. Even those who claim to be your friend. Be careful with them. Look at all the expiration dates I have found on a regular basis. A lot of foods being passed to the homeless that are expired. Not a week or 2 weeks, but sometimes months and years. One time I found this one lunch bag that had, well, I don't recall what it was, some bread item or cookie or something that was 4 years old. Another guy gave me his cookie from, I thought, from his glove compartment. That thing was 2 years old. And I thought he had just got me something from a store he had stopped by earlier. But no, I think he dug it out of his garage or glove compartment. So, and that's another danger out here is people with, you know, trying to do a good thing, good act of charity, but are very irresponsible. It could get you very sick. So anyways, those are just a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. I went by the garbage can, and there is still files of medical papers that I've spoken about earlier with a lot of people's information. I mean, it's about this thick, just one file. Nobody's really picked it up. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Got to get going. The Street Monk says, adios. You have a wonderful day today. Bye now.